All right, so we're gonna get started. First thing I want to tell you is I'm going to draw really dark with pencil so you can see it. So don't draw really dark. You want to draw really lightly. But we're going to draw kind of like a map, okay? I'm going to trace my circle nice and light, okay? You guys want to do it nice and light so you can go back in and erase it. You don't want to see these pencil lines through your drawing. So I've traced my circle on there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line for my table, so we know where our shadow is going to live, okay? And then to the right of my sphere, I'm going to draw my shadow. It's going to be like a squished circle, kind of like an oval, okay? So I'm looking at my reference photo. Okay, so that's kind of what it looks like. You guys see that okay? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down into steps. Drawing is about breaking things down, simple shapes and steps, okay? There's actually this girl on TikTok who draws everything in circles. You guys ever on TikTok for art, like look at art stuff? This girl draws everything in circles, like even faces, and she does a really good job because she just breaks it all down, okay? So right now what we're going to do is we're going to break this down into shapes. This first section, if you look at my sphere up here, I have this really dark crescent moon shape. That's our dark shadow. So I'm going to draw a crescent moon shape on here. I'm going to start kind of close to the top. And I'm going to come down and up just a little bit. That's going to be my dark shadowed area. So I've drawn that crescent moon shape in there. I'm going to do another shape. I'm going to draw another circle. Make sure these lines you're drawing nice and light. I'm going to draw where my kind of lighter colors are going to go. So I drew another circle. So I have my darks, my midtones, my lighter colors, and now I'm going to draw a tiny circle from my highlights in there. Now remember, you're drawing these lightly so you can go back in and erase them. The last thing, in this sphere, if you really pay attention and observe it really closely, they have what's called reflected light. Right here where the shadow is, you actually have like the tiniest space for a highlight. So I'm going to draw like this little tiny crescent moon shape. You can't really see it. It's probably actually better if you guys look on my first drawing. There's a little tiny sliver where I'm going to put a highlight in at the end, okay? So you should be all doing this right now. You're all following along, okay? All right, so we're gonna get started. I have all of my blues. I have like a really dark navy blue, a light blue, a mid-tone blue, almost like a black blue, and a purple. If you have a dark purple, I want you guys to start with that, no matter what color you're doing your sphere. So everyone should be grabbing a dark purple. If you don't have dark purple, get a dark blue. You need something dark. Even a dark green works if you don't have a dark blue or dark purple. Dark purple, okay? We're going to lightly shade in that entire crescent moon section. Now, watch first, okay? So I'm going to shade it in, and right now, because this is layer 1, we do not have to shade in circular motions. We're not blending anything together yet. This is just the base layer. So I'm adding that in right now, nice and light. And I want you guys to see this. Look how light that is. Even though I know this is going to be the shadow and the darkest area on my sphere. Look how light that is compared to here. That's because I want to build that up in about 5 or 6 layers of different blues and purples. So go ahead and add a really light layer of dark purple right there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what I want my local color to be. This is what you just make up on your own. There's no right way to do this. I want mine to be kind of a medium blue, so I found a medium blue. So I'm going to take my local color, because I want my whole sphere to be blue, and I'm going to lightly color blue on top of that purple. But now here's where you have to draw it in little circles, okay? So lightly shade in little circles. Is that the blue? Yeah. Really lightly. You'll see that this blue, this area starts getting a little bit darker because we're doing our second layer. Is it anywhere near as dark as it needs to be for the drawing? Absolutely not. That's okay. We're going to keep building that up. Okay, I've done one layer, but I think I want to make it a little bit darker, so I'm going to just do another layer. So go ahead and do another layer if you want. Again, I'm using circles when I'm shading. Okay. I'm going to go back to my dark purple because this still isn't as dark as I want it to be, and I need it to be a little bit darker before we move on. So I'm going to grab my dark purple again, and I'm going to slowly and lightly add in little circles and shade in that whole crescent moon area. You'll see it starts getting really dark. Look how dark it is from here compared to here, okay? So go ahead and add that in nice and lightly. We're not pressing harder. We're not coloring really hard. You can still see the paper flex through here. We're not sealing it off with all that wax. Just nice and light, building up value in a circular motion. That entire crescent moon area, color that in. Okay. So now I'm looking back at my reference photo. Even in the crescent moon shape that I see, it is still darker on the left side. So I'm going to shade against that left outline even darker with my colored pencil. And now here's where I'm going to change my pressure a little bit, okay? So just on the outside of that crescent moon shape, on the edge, right up against that outline, I'm going to shade in a circular motion still, a little bit darker, and you're going to visibly see a difference of dark versus a medium kind of blue. So we have like more of a dark purple and a medium blue. Do you guys see how different that is? We're still in the same shape, but see how it goes from dark to middle? We want to try to change that and get rid of that line so it looks not like a zebra. We don't want it to be stripy. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take my local color, and on the entire crescent moon section, I'm going to draw in circles. The entire thing, nice and lightly again. This is like layer number 5 or 6. Nice and lightly around the whole shape here. Now I can still see this line and it physically bugs me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my purple again and lightly on both halves of that crescent moon that I've split it into, I'm going to shade. So I'm going to go over the line and shade a little bit into the purple and a little bit into the bluer area with my purple. And I'm going to pass through a couple times until I see that line disappear a little bit. If you struggle with shading, have a light touch right now and always shade over your lines like this. It pulls everything together. So now my local color looks a little bit better, I think. My local color is blue. Always end with your local color. Don't end on purple if your color is blue. So I'm going to go ahead and lightly color blue over that entire crescent moon shape. We want this whole sphere to look blue. So really lightly. Okay. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to erase this pencil line now. My kind of like puzzle piece map that I drew in there. I'm going to erase that line so I can blend that in. And this is why you want to draw lightly, because it'd be a lot easier to erase if you drew lightly. Mine's going to have like this hard line in it. Okay. All right, so now we need to do this mid-tone section, this bigger circle. It's a mid-tone, so we still need our dark in there. So go ahead and grab your dark purple again. We're going to shade dark purple in there, but we're going to do it nice and light again. The whole section. Again, this is layer 1, so you don't need to do circles. Go ahead and shade in that whole section that we have white there. Nice and lightly. Now, what I'm going to do, you see how this goes from dark bluish purple to purple? Where this harsh line is, where we had that line drawn, I'm going to shade over the top, partially into this crescent moon blue and partially into the purple, still with my purple. So I'm building up the value And it's gonna be a little bit darker over here. So we're doing layer 2 just in one section of the dark purple. So it's gonna dip into the blue and dip into the purple. I'm gonna go back through and do another layer. So I'm actually doing 3 layers. Okay, I'm gonna get my local color again, go back on top of that. This whole section that we just did purple, I'm gonna cover in blue. Nice and light, we're not pressing hard. I'm gonna make sure the blue though travels over into that crescent moon shape, over that border, that boundary line that I drew of the puzzle the first time. So because we're blending colors, we're shading in circular motions, blending in circular motions. I'm on layer 2 of it. And I'm going to pass through and do one more layer. So I'm going to do 3 layers. Nice and light. Okay. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase the next line. So we have this lighter area with that line. I'm going to erase that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my local color right now. This is the lightest, one of the lightest areas of the sphere, and I don't want to put dark purple underneath it because I don't want it to look like there is a dark area there. So I'm going to use my light local color and lightly color blue. I'm using the wrong color, sorry. And color my blue in there. I'm going to make that blue travel across that border line that I had into the midtone area, all the way up to that small tiny circle I drew for my highlight. This needs to be nice and light. I'm gonna go back over my midtone with my local color because it just doesn't look dark enough to me. So I'm gonna darken it up a little bit. So as you're drawing too, once we're done with this crescent moon shape, we're not actually done. I'm looking at mine and I think it can get a little bit darker. So I'm going to go back in with my dark purple and hit that crescent moon shape again. And I'm going to lightly do a layer, but I'm going to do a bigger layer. And it's going to go outside the border of the crescent moon just to have that transition better. So I want it to go from dark to lighter, smoother. So I'm adding that dark purple lightly, even into my midtone area a little bit. Okay. I'm going to go back in. Our local color is blue. You never end on another color other than your local color, so put blue back on top. Putting that light blue back on top of the entire area where I just added purple. Okay, now in that really light area, I'm taking my lighter blue that I have and I'm going to put light blue on top. If you don't have lighter blue than what your local color is, you can either do another layer of your local color or you can add a little bit of white, but I'm going to add just a little bit of tiny bit of light blue in here. And then next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to erase that line where my shadow is. And that's where I'm going to leave you guys today. So go ahead and erase that line where your shadow is. I'm sorry, where your highlight will be. And so this is kind of what you have, okay? Tomorrow we're going to address the shadow. So we're going to get really dark in here like we did on the crescent moon and break this down into shapes. Did I forget to do that? I'm going to draw a crescent moon shape in my shadow too, so I know. Because this part's going to be darker over here. So I'm going to get that, we're going to get that nice and dark in here. We'll add our little reflected light highlight and we'll add some highlight in there and we'll add our surface, our table surface and our background, okay? So that should be where you're at today, okay? If you guys have questions, or you're struggling, or you just want me to check and be like, I don't know if I'm doing this right, I feel like I'm struggling, what do you think? Please stay on, right? This is your education. Take advantage of it to meet with me right now, okay? So if you want to stay on and show me what you got, go for it. That's why I left about 11 minutes. If not, you guys can log off and I'll see you tomorrow and we'll continue this tomorrow, okay? Have a good day, you guys.